A lot of people hear the phrase, protect the kids online, and immediately conversation stops right there. But who wants to argue against protecting kids? I don't. You don't. Most normal people don't. But let me ask you something. What happens when protecting kids becomes the reason every website, every app store, every operating system, every AI tool, and eventually every platform starts asking, who are you, before we let you in? That is where this conversation gets real, because the issue is not just child safety. The issue is what kind of internet we are building in the name of safety. Are we building a safer internet, or are we building a permissioned internet where access depends on identity checks, platform approval, app store rules, age gates, compliance vendors, and centralized control? What's up, guys? It's Josh with KeepItTechie, and on this channel we talk about Linux, open source, Homelabs, and helping people get into tech one command at a time. And if this kind of Linux, open source, Homelab, and digital independence content helps you think differently about tech, go down and hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me where you are on your Linux journey. And also, if you can, go down and hit that hype button so this video can get out into the algorithm. Now, today, I want to talk about online safety laws, age verification, AI regulation, anti-DEI politics, and why all of this could matter for Linux, open source, privacy tools, independent creators, and regular people who just want control over their technology. And I want to be clear from the start, this is not a fear video. This is not me saying every law is evil, every cloud service is bad, or every politician is secretly trying to control everything. What I'm saying is simply, we can protect kids without turning the entire internet into an ID checkpoint. Right now, lawmakers are looking at a bunch of online safety proposals. Some are about social media, some are about app stores, some are about adult content, some are about gaming platforms. Also, some are about AI chatbots and messaging apps, and also data brokers and privacy for minors. Some of this is bigger than one bill. And that is important, because if you only look at one small part, you might miss the bigger pattern. The pattern is this: more of the internet is moving towards verified access, not just click yes if you're old enough, which I see a lot of on gun websites. I'm talking about systems where platforms, app stores, or operating systems may be expecting to know your age, signal your age category, restrict content, or approve that certain users are minors or adults. And again, the reason sounds reasonable. Kids are online. Kids are being targeted by addictive design. Kids are exposed to scams, adult content, predators, manipulation, and AI tools that may not handle vulnerable users responsibly. That part is real. But in IT, we know something regular users do not always think about. Every safety system has an architecture. Somebody has to collect the data. Somebody has to store it. Somebody has to verify it. Somebody has to audit it. Somebody has to enforce it. And somebody has to decide what happens when that system makes a mistake. That is where this becomes a digital independence issue. A lot of people look at this and say, Josh, I'm not worried. I'm an adult. I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't care if websites check my age. I understand that reaction, but the issue is not just whether you personally can pass an age check. The issue is what infrastructure gets normalized, because once an identity layer gets built into the internet, it usually does not stay limited to the first use case. Today, it may be adult content. Tomorrow, it may be app stores. Then AI tools, messaging, developer platforms, operating systems, then certain types of software. There may be privacy tools or treated as suspicious because they make enforcement harder. And I know some people will say, that sounds extreme, but let me explain why this matters from a technical standpoint. In IT, access control changes behavior. If I build a system where every user has to authenticate before they can touch anything, that system is different from one where users can browse, learn, test, and explore anonymously. Authentication is not just a login screen, it is power. It decides who gets in, what they can see, what they can install, and what they can actually build. That is why this matters for Linux and open source, because Linux is not just about operating systems. Linux is one of the last major spaces where regular people can learn how computers actually work without asking permission from a giant platform. Now, the assumption most people make is that safety rules only affect the bad stuff. They think if this law is targeting harmful content or dangerous platforms, why should Linux users care? This is the mistake, because laws written for big platforms often create rules that smaller communities still have to live around. Big tech can hire lawyers. Big tech can build compliance departments. They can buy verification companies. They also can absorb fines, update terms of service, and just quickly move on. But what about those small open source projects, or volunteer Linux distributions, or privacy-focused apps, or let's say a self-hosted service, or independent creator teaching people how to use VPNs, encrypted messages, Linux, local AI, or decentralized platforms? The concern is not always direct shutdown. Sometimes the concern is friction, extra steps, extra risks, extra legal uncertainty, extra platform moderation, extra account requirements, app store policies, extra reasons for a small project to say, you know what, this is not really worth adding to the project. And that is how freedom gets smaller without anybody officially banning it. Now, let's be fair, people who support online safety laws are not automatically wrong. Kids do need protection online. Parents need better tools. Platforms should not be allowed to design apps that intentionally hook kids and then pretend they have no responsibility. AI chatbot companies should not be careless with minors. Gaming platforms should not ignore harassment, grooming, scams, or gambling like mechanics. And social media companies have had years to clean up their own mess, but a lot of them only move when public pressure or legal pressure shows up. So when people say we need to do something, I get it. I'm a parent, I'm a veteran, I work in IT, I understand rules, accountability, and risk management. The internet is not some magical place where nobody can be harmed. But here is the part we have to be mature enough to say. A real problem does not automatically make every proposed solution a good solution. And just because a policy uses the language of safety does not mean the system it creates will actually be safe, fair, private, or transparent. This is the part people miss. Where people go wrong is when they let emotions replace analysis. And this is where anti-DEI politics comes in. Some people had legitimate concerns about specific DEI programs. We can have that conversation, but a lot of the online conversation turned DEI into a catch-all enemy. People stopped asking, what does this program actually do? And they started reacting to the letters. And DEI essentially became a trigger word. And once a word becomes a villain, people become easier to move. And this is where some creators, including open source commentators, may have missed the bigger picture. And I don't want to call anybody out for that, but you can be against corporate performative DEI. You can criticize bad HR programs. You can dislike political messaging inside tech companies. But if that anger causes you to support broader restrictions on speech, platforms, education, privacy, or software freedom, then you may be helping build something you would not want to live under. That does not mean every creator was acting in bad faith. Some people were probably misled. Some people only looked at one part of the issue. I'm sure some people trusted political slogans instead of reading the policy. And that is the lesson for all of us. Do not let culture war language make your technology decisions for you, because the same systems that restrict something you dislike today can be turned around later and restrict something you care about tomorrow. Like this whole age verification thing that I'm starting to see a lot of these content creators talk about that were against DEI. And it's all tied together, but I'll leave that for another video. Now, this is why I keep talking about Linux and digital independence. It's not just because Linux is cool, it's because learning Linux teaches you. And once you understand your options, you do not have to accept whatever the tech industry hands you by default. Linux represents a different relationship with technology. On Windows, Mac OS, iOS, Android, and most cloud platforms, you are usually operating inside someone else's ecosystem. That does not mean those tools are bad. I use proprietary tools too. Most of us do. But Linux gives you a place to learn without every decision being filtered through one company's business model. You can expect things, you can change things, you can run your own server, you can host your own files, you can learn networking, DNS, storage, authentication, backups, containers, and security on your own hardware. That matters more than the internet source moving towards verified access, because the person who understands technology has the options. The person who does not understand technology has defaults, and defaults are usually designed for somebody else's goal. Now let's make this practical. Imagine a small Linux distribution maintained by volunteers. They do not have an account system. They do not collect birth dates. They do not know who downloads the ISO. They just publish software and documentation. Now imagine laws or app store policies start expecting operating systems to provide age signals to applications. What does that distribution do? Do they build an account system? Do they start collecting date of births? Do they block downloads in certain states? Do they remove certain packages? Do they put warnings everywhere? Do they ignore it and hope nobody comes after them? Even if nothing bad happens, the uncertainty itself becomes a burden. Now think about a Homelab user. You run Nextcloud for your family, maybe Jellyfin, maybe a wiki, maybe a private AI chatbot on your own machine. You are not big tech. You are just trying to learn. But the more laws use broad language around platforms, messaging, minors, and content, the more regular people start wondering, am I now responsible for compliance like I'm running a company? That may sound far away, but this is how chilling effects work. People stop building because they are not sure what is allowed. And then there are independent creators like myself. Let's say I make a video teaching people about Linux privacy tools or VPNs, DNS filtering, encrypted messaging, or self-hosting. Those are normal technical techniques. But if platforms start treating privacy tools as circumventing or risky content, creators may get demonetized, age restricted, or buried by recommendation systems. Now let's keep this balanced. Not every proprietary tool is bad, and not every open source tool is perfect. Not every cloud service is evil. Not every self-hosted setup is automatically better. I have seen people self-host things with weak passwords, no backups, exposed ports, outdated containers, and no clue what is running on their network. So no, self-hosting does not magically make you safe, but open source gives you something important: the ability to inspect, learn, modify, and choose. That is the difference. The debate is not government bad, platforms bad, Linux good. That is too simple. The real debate is, how do we protect minors without forcing everyone into identity-based access to the internet? How do we hold platforms accountable without making small developers and open source communities carry big tech compliance burdens? Also, how do we regulate AI without crushing local AI or open models, research, accessibility tools, and independent experimentation? Or how do we stop harmful content without creating vague rules that can be used later against political speech, privacy tools, education, or minority communities? Those are hard questions, and adults should be able to talk about hard questions without turning everything into a team sport. Now, here's the framework I want you to use. Whenever you hear a new tech policy, do not just ask, does it sound good? Ask, what data does this require? Who collects it? Who stores it? Can it be hacked? Can it be sold? Can it be subpoenaed? Can users appeal mistakes? Can open source projects comply to it? Can small creators survive the platform response? Does this protect kids, or does it mostly protect companies from liability? Is there a less invasive way to solve the same problem? This is how you think like someone in tech. You do not just react to the slogan, you inspect the system. Now, I know a lot of those guys on Capitol Hill don't understand this mindset, but that is the mindset Linux teaches you. And when something breaks on Linux, you you learn to ask better questions, like what services is running, like what ports are open, what logs are showing errors, what dependencies changed, or what permissions are wrong. That same mindset applies to policy. What problem is being solved? What mechanism is being used? Who gets power? Who loses options? Who pays the cost? Those are the questions. So what's your regular people do? Start small. Go down and learn basic Linux commands. Try Linux in a virtual machine before switching fully. Go down and use open source apps where it makes sense. Back up your important data. Read privacy settings before clicking accept. Go down and build a small home lab, even if it's just a mini PC or old laptop. Go down and learn some basic networking. Learn what DNS does. Learn how authentication works. Learn where your files are stored. Learn what services are running on your devices. Document what you build, and when you use AI or cloud tools, use them carefully. Do not just trust the answers because it sounds confident. Verify it. That applies to ChatGPT, Google, Microsoft, Apple, Meta, random influencers, politicians, and yes, even Linux YouTubers like myself. Do not outsource your thinking. Digital independence is not about rejecting every modern tool. It's about understanding what you use, knowing your options, and building enough skill to make your own decisions. That's the point. My advice is this: do not become paranoid. Become informed. Do not reject safety. Demand better safety. But do not assume every law with good branding is harmless either. Do not let big companies tell you privacy is impossible. Do not let political influencers tell you freedom only matters when their side is affected. Also, do not let tech industry train you to believe convenience is the same thing as control, because it is not. Convenience is nice, but if convenience makes you dependent on systems you do not understand, platforms you cannot answer, and rules you did not vote for or even read, then that convenience has a cost. And the more you learn Linux, open source, networking, self-hosting, and basic system administration, the easier it becomes to see that cost before you pay it. So the message today is simple. Yes, protect kids. Yes, hold platforms accountable. Yes, make AI companies responsible when their tools affect minors. But no, we should not turn the entire internet into an ID checkpoint. And we should not let culture war anger push us into supporting systems that reduce privacy, weaken open source freedom, and make independent tech harder to build. This is why I talk about Linux. This is why I talk about Homelabs. This is why I talk about digital independence, because technology is not just about tools. It's about control, trust, ownership, skills, privacy, and the ability to make informed decisions instead of blindly following the default path. So let me know in the comments, what do you think is the biggest trade-off people ignore when it comes to modern technology? And do you want to follow a video where I break down practical steps beginners can take to become more digitally independent? And if you got value from this video, go down and hit that like button, subscribe to KeepItTechie, and keep learning. And also hit that hype button so the video can get out into the algorithm, because the more you understand the technology around you, the harder it is for anybody to manipulate you with it. And as always, keep it techie.